The air was thick with tension, the standoff charged with unspoken stakes that neither the alien princess nor the human soldier fully understood. Beneath the harsh, artificial lighting of the interspecies negotiation chamber, Princess Xaerith of the Aelvari Empire sat upright on her crystalline throne, her translucent lavender skin glowing faintly. She exuded an aura of regality, her elongated silver eyes scanning the soldier before her with a cool, measured gaze. Opposite her stood Captain Ethan Cole, a grizzled veteran of Earth's defense force. His broad shoulders were tense beneath the weight of his combat armor, his posture rigid and his face carved from stone. A faint scar traced his cheekbone, a souvenir from another alien encounter gone sour. Ethan's hand hovered near his holstered pulse rifle, a gesture that wasn't lost on Xaerith. "Do you always greet royalty with such hostility, Captain?" Xaerith's voice was calm, melodic even, though a flicker of annoyance laced her tone. Her twin head crests flared slightly, betraying her irritation. "I expected more decorum from your kind." Ethan didn't flinch. "With respect, Your Highness, your fleet's recent movements near Earth's colonies don't inspire trust. I'm here to ensure this meeting doesn't turn into a prelude to invasion." Xaerith's lips curved into a faint smile, though her luminous eyes remained sharp. "Invasion? How quaint. The Aelvari Empire has little interest in your backwater colonies. Our presence here is exploratory. Nothing more." "Exploratory doesn't explain the battle cruisers," Ethan countered, his voice steady but edged with steel. "Or the probes that breached our planetary defenses." Xaerith's fingers tightened imperceptibly on the armrests of her throne. She fought to maintain her composure, her diplomatic training battling with the frustration roiling beneath her serene exterior. She hadn't risen to her station by succumbing to emotion, and she wasn't about to start now. Especially not in the presence of a human soldier who seemed to embody every stereotype of his species. Brash, suspicious, and infuriatingly direct. "You misunderstand our intentions," she said, her voice like tempered glass. "The probes were scientific. The cruisers are a precaution, nothing more." "Surely, Captain, your species understands the need for caution in uncharted territories." Ethan's jaw tightened, but he didn't respond immediately. His eyes, a stormy gray, bore into hers, searching for cracks in her facade. Xaerith held his gaze, unyielding. In the silence, the faint hum of the chamber's energy shields filled the air, a reminder of the precarious balance that hung between their worlds. Finally, Ethan spoke. "If your intentions are peaceful, prove it. Withdraw your fleet from our borders. Return the data your probes collected. Show us we can trust you." Xaerith arched a delicate brow. "Trust is not given so freely, Captain. It must be earned by both sides. Perhaps your people could take the first step by ceasing your territorial expansions into neutral zones." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "Neutral zones? Those territories were uninhabited, claimed by no one." "Claimed by no one, until your kind arrived," Xaerith said, her tone sharp enough to slice through the tension. "Do you think the galaxy exists solely for your taking?" Ethan bristled but held his ground. "We're not the ones sending battle cruisers to our neighbors' doorsteps." Xaerith rose from her throne in one fluid motion, her tall, slender frame towering over him. Her head crests flared fully now, shimmering with bioluminescent light. For a moment, she looked every bit the warrior princess her people revered, her composed demeanor cracking to reveal the fire beneath. "Do not presume to lecture me on aggression, Captain," she said, her voice low but resonant. "Your species has waged more wars in a single century than my people have in millennia. Yet you dare to paint us as the threat." Ethan's hand finally rested on the grip of his rifle, though he didn't draw it. His voice dropped to a dangerous murmur. "And your people, with all their millennia of peace, suddenly decide to send armed fleets into our space? You'll forgive me if I find that hard to believe." For a moment, it seemed the fragile thread tethering them to civility would snap. But then Xaerith took a step back, exhaling slowly. The light of her head crests dimmed, and the fire in her eyes cooled. She had come here to prevent a war, not ignite one. "Perhaps we have both been too quick to judge," she said, her tone softening. "Tell me, Captain, Do you always see the galaxy in such stark terms? Friend or foe? Ally or enemy? Ethan hesitated, caught off guard by the shift in her demeanor. I see the galaxy for what it is, dangerous. And I do what's necessary to protect my people. Xaerith nodded, a hint of sadness flickering across her face. A noble sentiment, but danger is often born of misunderstanding. Perhaps we can bridge that gap. Ethan's grip on his rifle relaxed slightly. I'm listening. Xaerith gestured to a crystalline table that materialized between them, its surface shimmering with holographic projections. Let us exchange knowledge. Share our histories, our sciences, our cultures. Let us prove to one another that we are not the monsters we fear. Ethan studied her, his expression unreadable. And if your fleet remains near our borders? Then let it be a reminder, Xaerith said, her voice steady. A reminder that trust is a fragile thing, but not beyond repair. We will not withdraw immediately, but neither will we advance. A stalemate for now, until trust is earned. Ethan considered her words, the weight of his duty warring with the faint glimmer of hope her proposal offered. Finally, he gave a curt nod. You have a deal. For now. Xaerith allowed herself a small, genuine smile. Then let us begin, Captain. For the sake of both our worlds. The two leaders extended their hands across the crystalline table, a gesture of cautious unity. In that moment, the seeds of a fragile peace were sown, though both knew the road ahead would be fraught with challenges. Yet for the first time, they stood not as adversaries, but as equals, bound by the shared hope of a brighter future. Months later, in the shadow of a binary star system, the joint Aelvari Human Research Station hummed with life. Scientists, engineers, and diplomats from both species worked side by side, their cooperation yielding breakthroughs that neither could have achieved alone. Xaerith and Ethan stood on a balcony overlooking the bustling station, their once tense partnership now a bond forged through shared trials. I never imagined this would work, Ethan admitted, his tone lighter than it had been during their first meeting. But here we are. Xaerith inclined her head, her eyes glowing with quiet pride. Trust is a slow bloom, Captain. But when nurtured, it bears the sweetest fruit. The two shared a rare, unguarded smile as they turned their gaze to the stars beyond. For the first time, the galaxy seemed just a little less dangerous, and the possibilities endless.